welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I'm doing a single book review of Hollow Kingdom by Kara Jane Buxton, which is a sci-fi post-apocalyptic book from 2019 from Grand Central Publishing. I actually heard about this book from Scott at Book Invasion, where I hear about a lot of sci-fi books. This book somehow slipped under my radar, despite it being post-apocalyptic, when it first came out, but I'm very glad I found it. I absolutely loved this book. 5 out of 5 stars, 1,000,000 stars, as many stars as I can give it. So, if you haven't guessed, I love things that are a little quirky or books that have breathed new life into static genres. As such, a post-apocalyptic zombie book where the main character is a sentient crow was right up my alley. So, what is this book about? ST is a domesticated crow, a bird of simple pleasures. He spends his days hanging out with his owner, Big Jim, avoiding the slobbering affection of Big Jim's loyal but dim-witted dog, Dennis, trading insults with Seattle's wild crows, binge-watching nature documentaries, and binge-eating the finest food humankind has to offer, Cheetos. Then on a beautiful summer evening, Big Jim's eyeball falls out of his head, and ST starts to feel like something isn't quite right. When his tried-and-true remedies, from beet-delivered beer to inventive cocktail of stolen pharmacy drugs, fail to bring Big Jim back to health, ST is left with no choice but to abandon his old life and venture out with his trusty steed Dennis to find a cure. So yeah, very fun. From the first page, the book had me laughing. ST has this sublimely hilarious acerbic humor that is a mix of intentionally by the writer and unintentionally by the bird, social critique and absurdity. The bird's name is Shit Turd, which is so stupid it's funny, and fits well with the bird's guardian's personality. But then there are clever jokes like Moss, especially the Spanish kind, is a deadly conquistador. Oh, that's clever. Fun pun there. I really enjoyed how Big Jim fits some construction worker stereotypes, swearing a lot and being a bit rough around the edges, but not enough that it came off as mockery. My partner is in the trades, and I can tell you that the stereotypes are there for a reason in some cases. Their Christmas party, wild. Lots of fun, though. But you also shouldn't assume every tradesperson is some rude lout. I also liked that the dog's name in the book is Dennis. So, as you maybe know, my dog's name is Denny, and I call him Dennis sometimes when he's being bad. And while Denny is not a hound, he's a pug, everything Dennis did in the novel reminded me of Denny. Did I cry at one point? Yes. Was it a happy or a sad cry? I won't tell you. The real success of this novel is that ST didn't feel too human. You do have to suspend your disbelief regarding the considerable gap between sentience and sapience in this book and how it's been accordioned, but we're able to relate to him and understand his struggle while still remembering that he is a bird. Pedantic teaching time with Tina. The words sapient and sentient are often used interchangeably in books and media these days. I'm not sure why, but they're very different. Sentience is having feelings and experiencing sensations. Animals are sentient. Sapience is higher cognition. It's being able to use logic and make correlations to create. The story, given we're following a bunch of birds around, really drew me in. ST's purpose, first to rescue Big Jim, then to rescue the domesticated animals trapped in houses, and his later goals were compelling and took up just enough of the story that it didn't drag on in parts or feel too rushed. I liked how the animals used description of things that I didn't know the words for, such as the one who spits. These things are explained later, and it's a really fun kind of oh, okay, moment. So it's really cool. I also loved how we didn't really know why the world went to shit, but we find out eventually, kind of. I liked that. I don't like a lot of exposition at the start that's the world ended because of blah, 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 blah. I'd rather figure it out as I go. As I mentioned about the humor in the novel, the prose really worked for me. The moments of action and humor were balanced with phrases such as, tension clouded the air, the kind that follows eruptive violence, the kind that's too heavy to drain itself. The novel proves that you can balance, kind of campier concepts, like zombies can be sometimes, and humor with moments of poignancy, emotion, and narrative craft. This book is a really great for blending all of those things together in a way that didn't compete. It felt like they were building upon one another in that way. I also very much enjoyed the small chapters here and there focusing on other domesticated animals or various animals around the world, such as a cow in Scotland or a polar bear. These were interesting tidbits. Also, Genghis Cat is the best name for a cat I've ever heard. Let me know in the comments the names of your pets, because my favorite is when dogs have human names, you have a Rottweiler named Steve. One of my favorite dogs' names is Cheddar from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Every time I see a corgi, I call it Cheddar. And my neighbors have a corgi, so I'm saying Cheddar all the time. Lastly, the ending I want to talk about, which, I'm not going to spoil it, which I should have expected it, but I didn't. I'm a little torn about it because I wonder at the feasibility. Maybe it'll be explained in the second book that I'm now very excited to read. And I'm going to get that as soon as the paperback comes out, unless my library has it. If my library has it, I'm definitely going to have to like bump it into January somehow because I really loved this book. So the novel is, you know, as much fun as a post-apocalyptic adventure can be, as well as a witty social critique, and it's also an ode to pets. If you have pets and you love animals, I think you will really enjoy this book because it's a lot of fun. And, you know, some animals are harmed, but none of it was grotesque or gratuitous. When it does happen, it's emotional, but it's not disgusting. You know what I mean? Like, some books kill animals for no reason, and this doesn't have that. I will say, though, as someone who has to live with the bastards, Canada geese were not depicted as the violent predatory aggressors that they really are in this book. I was expecting a whole flock of them to descend like lunatics and like kill a bunch of stuff, but that doesn't happen, and that surprised me because I one time witnessed a Canada goose attack multiple people in a parking lot. So Canada geese are terrifying. If they're crossing the road and you drive towards them, they don't move. You have to wait for them because they're crazy. Anyway, Canada geese. There's two kind of fun quotes I wanted to share just to kind of show you kind of what the humor is like in the book because, and like how clever the book can be because I really want you to read this book. So here's the first one. Big Jim claims to be a deeply religious man, maintaining that his religion is whiskey and women. I saw the connection between the two. Most of his relationships were on the rocks. Stupid, but it's so funny. There was a ringleader who I honestly couldn't tell from the other ants, except that she carried her tiny frame like a gladiator who'd seen cities crumble. I thought that was a really cool description. And that's the thing, it has some really evocative sentences as well as the funny ones. So yeah, really good book. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, thanks.